right, so this video may be a slight bit different than what I normally do, but this was brought on by a conversation that I was having with my mom. We were, reminiscing on a lot of stuff, her individual life, my individual life, and I've had this conversation with a few people before, and I thought it'd be interesting to, get people's perspective on it. And so I want to hear people's perspective on forgiveness, if it's a real thing, because my theory, again, I have no grounds of this. It's just something that I've theorized, and I think part of this would possibly be because I don't believe in religion. Now, I operate spiritually, so on and so forth, so I don't think I don't have a foundation of something. This video ain't for that. I ain't going all into that, but I do not believe in religion. And my opinion is that forgiveness is tied to religion. I don't think forgiveness is a real thing, because the basis of that is, can you really say you forgave somebody if, rather consciously or unconsciously, you still hold whatever that person did, you still hold it over their head? Now, I'm not talking about, and this is where I say, now, I'm not a forgiving person at all, because I don't believe in it. Like, if you do wrong by me, I'm going to hold it over your head. Now, where I get where people come from as far as it holding you down or a weight being on you from a spiritual standpoint, so on and so forth, I get that from the context of not being able to move forward, not being able to accept whatever it is that happened. Case in point, people say I've had people that's done me wrong. Now, they severed the relationship of what it could have been, but we still have a relationship to this day, and a lot of them are my family, and we still close as ever in a certain sense. But what the relationship could have been, it can no longer be that, because I can't forget what you did, so on and so forth. But was I able to accept what you did? Was I able to then move on? Yes, because we obviously able to still have a relationship. Now, if people look at that as forgiveness, that's why I say it's a theory to me, and it's about perspective. It's subjective, let me say that. Because if people look at that as forgiveness, then that's your opinion. But I don't look at it as forgiveness, because I have not forgave them for what they did. They actually messed up their relationship. I just accepted what went on, and it's probably, depending on what the situation was, probably took me a little while to actually be able to start being able to be around that person, talking to that person, so on and so forth. It's been situations where I had to pull back from people because I was so hurt, and it was weighing me down, so on and so forth. But I pulled back with certain situations because I knew if we continued to go in a spiral and I got all this animosity built up for you, but yet we still around each other, it's gonna sever whatever relationship we possibly could have. So I would pull back to give myself enough time to heal from whatever it is that went on, and then when I get to a good point, now we can move on with the next phase of our relationship, which would bring in the people that have done me wrong, that I haven't forgiven, so on and so forth. So this is the conversation I was having with my mom on the basis of why I don't personally think forgiveness is a real thing, because it's like, what does that mean? Because I personally never forgive people, and I think a lot of people, if they're being honest, they would say they've never forgiven people either. But like I said, my mom brought up a good point as far as it weighing you down, so on and so forth. And then that's when I brought in, well, that sounds like more of you still living in what happened, and you still holding that same energy when they did you wrong, to where you didn't want to talk to them, you couldn't have a relationship with them. You still holding that energy. It's like, well, what about the energy to where you now have moved on and you able to have some form of relationship with them? What does that say? So that's what I look at more of. That's what could be holding people back or holding people down, when you don't accept what it is that took place, and you accept it for what it is, and you learn the lesson from it, or whatever the case may be. I don't look at that as forgiveness. I just look at that as, hey, you accepted the reality of what happened, and you adjusted to whatever it is that you needed to do, whether whoever that is, y'all continue to have a relationship or not. But if it's still in your mind, if you still have some type of feeling towards it, as far as, I bet that person ain't gonna never be able to do it again, or whatever the case may be, because you remember how you were done wrong, and it's still a reality, I don't look at that as forgiveness. So that's why I say I don't think forgiveness is a real thing. But I would love to hear other people's opinion about it. Like I said, just something I theorized on. Don't know if it's true or not. Not saying somebody else is right or somebody else is wrong, or whatever the case is. It's just something for me personally. I don't believe in forgiveness. I'm not a forgiving person, and it's not because I don't want to forgive people. I just don't believe in it. All right, so Leave your comments, tell me what you think as far as if you have an opinion about it, and I appreciate y'all.